pleased to present Austin Faith Dialogue, brought to you by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries. In the weeks ahead, you will see these and other programs by various denominations. Austin Faith Dialogue, a public affairs program at the crossroads of religion and life, a series highlighting the cultural and social interaction between the worshiping and religious communities in and around the capital city. Austin Faith Dialogue is brought to you by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KTVC. Join us now in Austin Faith Dialogue.
All of us would probably agree that one of the best gifts that we can give our children is the opportunity for a good education. How can we make the schools in the Austin area better? I'm Father Peter Logsdon, the rector at St. Mary's Catholic Cathedral in downtown Austin, and I am your host for this edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. Today we will talk about the program that seems to be working to help get parents involved in their children's schools. It is called the Shechem Compact, and I believe that you will enjoy our discussion. Our guests today are both from Dolores Catholic Church. We welcome Sister Rose Moreno, who is Director of Religious Education at the parish, and Father John Korshmar, who is pastor at Dolores Catholic Church. Let's begin by talking to you first, Sister Rose. I'd like to have ladies go first in this kind of an interview because I'm curious about when you began working at Dolores Church.
I began working at Dolores Church 16 years ago. In July it will be 17. And I've been working there ever since in different areas, but right now I'm the religious educator, or the director of religious education.
So you have several children in the programs, your Sunday school program, for example?
We have 400 from 1st through 5th grade, and then from 6th through 12 we have 140, more or less.
Mm-hmm. And would all of the children be from around Dolores Church, which is where? Where is Dolores located? It's
located on the east side of Austin and Montopolis. And most of the children are from the area. Some are coming from the surrounding areas, but most of them do come from the Montopolis area.
Mm-hmm. And besides the Sunday school work, what other programs would you be involved in at the church?
Okay, I'm also involved with community programs, and I am a leader of Austin Interfaith, in which our church is very much involved in it.
Mm-hmm. Father John, it seems to me that you're also involved in Austin Interfaith. Could you tell me a little about that particular organization?
Austin Interfaith is a coalition of 30 religious congregations in the Austin area. They're approximately split in 3 ways. Ethnically, it's Hispanic, Anglo, and Black. Religiously, it's Protestant, Baptist, and Roman Catholic. And we try to operate in the public arena. It's a political organization rooted in religious tradition, but operates in the public forum. and we try to operate in public on the religious values that we believe and on the issues that are impacting the families and members of our congregations. We were involved in the airport move a few years ago, getting out the vote and moving the airport, for instance.
Why do you think a church should be involved in that kind of an issue? For example, the airport issue. What does that mean for the churches, for example?
Well, a number of things. One, in that particular issue, it was mere survival. Had the airport not been moved, one of the possible things down the line, the only other way to expand the airport would be move it across 7th Street almost up to the flight area coming close to Montopolis even. Would have come across 7th Street, it would have wiped out St. Julia's, and about, I'd say right now off the top of my head, 20 churches would have been moved, would have been on a runway. So in that case, it was mere survival. But it's also a way to help people in all issues to operate in the public forum in a way that's nonpartisan. We never endorse candidates, never endorse parties, but to be able to operate in the public forum on issues that are affecting their families and to act out in a public way the faith that we believe.
And you said there are about 30 churches, and any synagogues involved in this?
Not at the present time. We've been talking with people within the Jewish community, but we haven't actually had a synagogue or congregation join yet.
Okay. Well, when we talk about Austin Interfaith and the group of churches, what is it you have right now that's your particular focus? I said at the beginning of this program we would talk about education. Are you involved in that right now?
Yeah, I'm involved in that. Austin Interfaith is a multi-issue organization. It doesn't just stay within one area. For instance, in South Austin, there's been some concern about police protection and some housing at the Meadowbrook projects. But right now, it's kind of been our big issue for the moment, and involving a lot of us has been the Shechem Compact and the education of our children.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Shechem Compact. I'm sure most of us, even though we are avid readers of the Bible, probably don't even remember what the word Shechem comes from. Do you know?
Shechem is a city where Joshua invited the leaders of the tribes to come together and to renew the covenant. And the idea was it was a time of renewal, it was a time of looking at their traditions and for planning for the future, to make those traditions become a reality and continue on. And how did you choose that as the name of your project for better education in Austin? Well, one of our concerns, one of the reasons why we're into education is we have a real concern for the inner city, renewing the life of the inner city, making sure that it'll be a place where people can live, where there'll be a future. And we know very clearly from all kinds of studies that if our children don't have a good education, they really won't have a future. There's some people saying that in 20, 30 years, in order to have a good job, you'll have to have at least a college education. And you can use different figures. Different studies give slightly different figures, but within the Hispanic community, with roughly a 50% dropout rate, unless that changes, that's going to mean there's going to be a lot of people without really good work, meaningful work and work that will support them and their families. Sister Rose, how Father John mentioned about the dropout rate. Have you noticed that that's the reality in your neighborhood?
Yes, I do notice that, and I think that that's very much within the Hispanic community. And I think that the dropout rate is not only because they don't go to school or whatever, but I think that it's because mainly sometimes our children do not have the incentives to create an atmosphere at home or to have hopes of really getting a higher education. So, and sometimes they also live in poverty, so they have to go out and work. And once they go out to work and they experience that they have a little bit of money in their pockets, well, then they feel like, well, you know, what's the use of going to school if I'm going to wind up with a job just the way I have right now? And they don't think further than that. So I think that that is one of the problems within our neighborhoods.
So one of your aims would be working with the children that you deal with all the time to see that they have that better educational opportunity.
Yes, sir, the opportunity to be able to get a higher education, and for them to see that there's somebody out there who's really interested in, who's willing to put out something for them in order to get it. And of course, there has to be some work from them also.
So what is this, you're particularly now involved in this Shechem Compact.
Yes.
What have you done so far in this program?
Okay, Allison is one of the schools that was selected for this project, and we have about 100, a little bit over 100 of our children that are coming to the CCD program that go to Allison. And what we're doing right now is we're having some of our teachers do home visits, and also some of the parents who are very much interested in better education for their children. And we're trying to do some walks later on in the year to where we will be able to visit all the other parents, regardless of where they're coming from, and regardless of their religious belief also.
So is this something that hasn't been done before? Parents generally have not been involved in the schools where their children go?
Yes, you're right on that. And I think that it's not only the minority groups, but I also hear it from other areas, from other religious coordinators, that they see that the lack of parental involvement in the schools. And particularly in our area, I feel that in order for the schools or for a better education, parents really need to become more involved and more interested, not only what happens in the home, but also what happens in the everyday life of the child in the school that they're attending. And I think that that's very, very important. And we're getting good results from those parents who are participating. And they're also seeing the need of more parents becoming more involved, and so they're willing to go out and talk to them and share with them their experience.
Now, you've been at Dolores Church a long time.
Yes.
Right? And you've seen children drop out of school. You've seen what's happened to their lives.
Yes.
Do you think this program is working?
I think it is working because one of the things that we've started to do also with our kids is that we have been giving them some certificates every time they've been in the honor roll in school. And the first time that we gave it, we had about 65 who brought back that they had been in the honor roll, regardless of whether they were at Allison or other schools. And the second 6 weeks, we had about 85 to 90 kids bringing in their honor rolls in school to receive a certificate. So we see that there is a growth, and something will come out of it. Hopefully, we'll get all 400 to be in the honor roll one of these days. And the parents are also, you also see that they're more involved. They're more attentive to come into meetings that are called for their children, and hopefully will go on to the public schools.
Father John, are there other aspects of this Shechem Compact that you would want to talk about besides the visiting of the homes? Is there any other component that's going to make education better in these target schools?
Yeah, there's three aspects to the Shechem Compact, or three levels of operation, if you will. The compact itself is among Austin Interfaith, Austin Independent Schools, AERO, the Austin Area Research Organization, which is made up of the CEOs of a number of large employers in the area, and also the city. The mayor has been part of it with us. The three elements, one is what we've been talking about at the elementary school level, the home visitation. We have a Shechem Parental Involvement Report card that we give to parents on the recognition of kids who are on the honor roll. We also are developing in the two pilot schools, Allison Elementary and Montopolis.
The country, after the official announcement was made by State President de Klerk that Mandela was indeed to be freed, but some of the joy turned to grief when violence broke out in a few of the black townships outside of Johannesburg. We watched this motorcade, this cavalcade closely to see what's going to develop here. As we had hoped to see it, now a little more clearly. And let's just pause and watch as Nelson Mandela, now 71, walks hand in hand, Nelson Mandela with his wife, Winnie, and breathes free air. And as we watch these photographs, these live pictures of Nelson Mandela and Mrs. Mandela, and show you the picture in Amherst, Massachusetts of Nelson Mandela's daughter, Maki, as she sees her father walk out. Let's bring in Patrick Terra Lakota from Boston, and explaining once again that the middle name Terra comes from his football prowess, not from anything political. Mr. Lakota, as you see Nelson Mandela walking along there in freedom, how different does he look from when you saw him when you were with him in prison as a fellow prisoner?
There are two